And now some words from our sponsor. Flap, pustule, jowls, nugget, gurgle, smear, curd, bulbous, tender, dongle, pork, moist. Whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or frankly a radio host, if you hear certain words on the job site, work can be uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro work shirts, pants, and boots. Head to toe. Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
The local king of Kong star has been stripped of all, there's nothing pure anymore in sports, has been stripped of all of his video game high scores, banned from competition for cheating. We got Mariah Carey. She's working on a new book. The singer's rep has told page 6 that page 6, excuse me.
Fine.
She's been looking inward, and that disclosing her bipolar order to People magazine has been freeing, and also accused sexual harasser Charlie Rose is living a lonely life of exile at his $6 million Long Island waterfront mansion. Friends and locals tell The Hollywood Reporter. I wasn't reading that at all. So, my question to you guys is, and Amin Elhassan is in with us. We will talk a lot of basketball with him. Mariah Carey is writing a book. Is there anyone in sports that you would like a book from? Is there anyone who are
I'm getting total honesty?
Yeah, you're getting a real book. You're getting a book that's interesting. We just saw this Andre the Giant documentary, and it was interesting because being that size, living at that size and being a drunk is interesting, but he himself is not that interesting. His story is interesting. Who is the person that you want to get a book from, that you would go and buy a book because that athlete is so interesting?
There's only one answer to this question. Gilbert Arenas. This guy has lived a life and has never, ever had a filter on what he's going to say. If he wrote a book, two things would happen. One is we get material for weeks.
People would get exposed. A lot of people would get exposed. A lot of people.
Two is Gilbert Arenas has become such a pariah because everything he communicates. Gilbert Arenas is what I like to call living life without consequences. He'll say anything because there will be no consequence to his life.
Well, let me ask you guys this question, because ESPN is now doing this Bob Knight 30 for 30. And Bob Knight has been enabled for a long time, okay? The idea that Bob Knight was choking people and still getting the kids speaks to where it is that
it's a different time. Dan.
Well, it is a different time, but then ESPN hired him at not a different time and kept giving him checks after that. And now we continue to make money off of Bob Knight and the content of chair throwing by putting a 30 for 30 together. And what I wanted to ask you as it related to Gilbert Arenas had a gun incident in the locker room. We've never seen that in the history of American sports, that kind of controversy where guys are pulling guns on each other in the locker room. And my question to you guys is, what from today are we going to look back on the way we look back at Gilbert Arenas and look back at Bob Knight and be like, how the hell did that happen? How was that allowed to happen? How was a coach allowed to be just hitting everybody, headbutting players, and then getting all the players?
Right. Yeah, like right now you look back at that and you're like, how did that go on? I don't know the thing from today's sport. It's because today's sports has changed so much where coaches just aren't going to do that.
Oh, but don't make it about coaches. I'm just talking about across sports. What's the behavior that doesn't age well in a way? Like Bob Knight was a celebrated titan of industry. And now afterward, I mean, he was also controversial, but he did a lot of things, man, enabled on power. Like, can you imagine a college basketball coach at the height of the profession right now saying on television with a woman as the investigative reporter, if rape is going to happen, just stay back and enjoy it? At least you should stay back and enjoy it, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. We might want to get the quote exactly right. But that's a thing that happened with Bob Knight because he was so powerful at Indiana that he thought he was totally untouchable and could say whatever he wanted.
I think homophobia in the locker room is something we're going to look back at and say, how did that happen? That was just a regular thing. I think hazing it's already started.
But are we going to look back at Kaepernick that way?
Kaepernick, definitely. We're looking at Kaepernick right now like that.
Right.
How can a guy that talented be effectively blackballed for his political beliefs.
What did you guys make of the recent reporting, which is Adam Schefter's reporting that the Seahawks had a workout scheduled with Kaepernick. And then, because they asked him, are you going to kneel? And he wouldn't say that he wasn't going to kneel. Okay. He didn't say he was going to kneel. He just, according to the reporting, didn't say he would not kneel. And so the tryout was postponed. Man, that seems like a fairly obvious thing a lawyer could use with collusion if you wanted to make Colin Kaepernick a martyr that you take all the way to the Supreme Court. Like, it can't be that obvious. Even though it's that obvious, it can't be that obvious.
But Dan, it's been that obvious for a while now.
No, but he's saying now it's kind of on record.
No, it's now you've got report.
I guess what I'm saying is I didn't need it on record to know what was going on. Like, I knew this was going on.
That's fine, but you need it on record to prove it in a court of law.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's terrible. It really is. I mean, listen, he should have the freedom to do whatever he wants. When did it stop becoming about talent? Because he's certainly one of the most talented quarterbacks.
In that league.
I mean, that position.
Yeah.
That position.
Let me get this quote right. Okay, so Bobby Knight was talking to Connie Chung, and he was asked how he handled stress. He wasn't even asked he was asked how he handled stress, and he says, I think that if rape is inevitable, relax and enjoy it. That was an actual thing that was said.
You guys remember the movie we made at ESPN?
Oh, I got suspended for a year for that.
Brian Dennehy played
A Mountain of Elephant Crap. I called it on PTI.
That got you a year?
A year.
Whoa.
A year. Is
that the longest suspension in ESPN history?
You know what's funny about it? It would have been if anyone had told me that I'd been suspended. They just stopped using me. Nobody actually told me. I found out a year later we're allowed to use you again. No one made a phone call.
That would be awesome.
Stopped using me.
That's passive aggressive.
I'm guessing that was the ESPN punishment policy for many years. Before all this President Jamel Hill stuff got in the way. I'm guessing that the policy was, hey, did he do something that said something bad on us about television? Get him out of here for a year.
Just don't call Batard for a year. That's it. Don't tell him.
I'd love to know the backstory. I don't know the actual backstory of that. I just know I was not called for a year by ESPN, and then they told me, okay, the ban's over.
What if all suspensions were like that? Right? Get a play.
Sports.
Yeah. It's like, guy gets in a fight, suspended 5 games, but no one actually tells him. Coach just doesn't put him in the game. He's just sitting there waiting.
Wondering why he's not playing. Shows up, no one lets him in.
What are you excited about? Amin Elhassan flies in every time, this time of year for us, because we appreciate his basketball expertise. What are you excited about in this first round of playoffs? Because as I recall last year, the first round didn't have anything in it, did it? Did the first round have anything good in it, or was it just a lot of, I'm going straight from memory here, but I just think of the first round as the top team in a top-heavy sport, top-heavy conference is going to take the first 2 games, and then you're all going to get bored because everyone's up 2-0 after the home game.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. I'm excited because I think every single series will be competitive. Every single one. I think if you look.
Even the 1/8s?
Even the 1/8s, because you look at who the 8 is. The 8 is Washington, and we can say a lot of things about them, about how they're underachievers, about how they didn't win the division crown, even though everyone, except for one lonely soul, predicted that they would.
Were you literally the only person?
I was literally the only person in sports. Anywhere.
Predicting the Miami Heat to win the division.
Anywhere. Look it up.
You saw no other ally.
No other ally.
There's proof. There's a screen cap of it. By the way, last year's first round had Jazz Clippers that went 7.
A good one, yeah.
Even though Game 7 was kind of disappointing, I believe. And the Celtics went down 2-0 to the 8 seed Bulls, and we were all worried
But there were no upsets, correct? There were no, this is what the first round does. Somebody gets behind sometimes, and then you end up in one of these.
Do you root for upsets in the NBA playoffs?
Yes.
Do you?
I do root for upsets.
Oh, you would want an 8 seed to beat a 1 seed? Because I want one of those 2 teams out west to make it to the NBA Finals.
Last year you weren't rooting for the Bulls to beat the Celtics.
No.
No, I want to see, Dan, you know how I am with this. Like, I'm good with the underdog right up until it spoils my Final Four.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I know, but the Celtics weren't going to be part of your Final Four in a way that you cared about, right? They were there to exist to get trampled by Cleveland. That nobody thought Boston was winning that series.
Sure, but I don't want to see Chicago get trampled by Cleveland. I want to see Boston trampled by Cleveland.
There was some intrigue there. It was like, hey, can Isaiah Thomas, can Boston get a couple of games and scare the Cavaliers?
The only lower seed to win in the first round was a Utah Jazz.
A 5 over a 4.
A 5 over a 4.
That one's how it tends to happen. The way that it tends to happen is either it's really boring 2-0 after the home games, or You get somebody surprising that's up 2-1 that then loses in 6.
Yes.
I mean, because that's what happened with the Celtics and Bulls, right? Isn't that exactly what happened? Wait, the Celtics look shaky. Celtics look shaky, and then never mind. There go the Bulls.
Well, if you want upsets, I think this is the year for some upsets. I think 7 will beat 2. I think 6 will beat 3
in the East.
And I think out west, Utah's going to roll the Thunder. They're going to roll them, Dan. They ain't just going to beat them. They're going to roll them. I'm not a believer in Oklahoma City.
How are the Jazz doing this?
How are they doing this?
How are they doing this with a rookie leading their team in scoring?
Elite defense. If you look at their defense from January 1 or whatever, whenever, beginning of January, they had lost 16 of 19 games. They were trash. They were 10 games under 500. And since then, their defense is like 88 points per 100 possessions.
I heard Woj say today on Golick and Wingo that Quinn Snyder is top 5 coach in the NBA.
I will not allow you guys to try and tell me before the playoffs start that anyone in this country cares about the Utah Jazz. I won't allow it. We're going to commercial.
Nice little team.
You guys get the hell out of here with people care about the Utah Jazz in any meaningful way.
Is Gordon Hayward that good? I don't know anymore.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Protecting your small business is a big deal. Cover what you've worked so hard for. Visit ProgressiveCommercial.com. Baseball is back. Tune in tomorrow as the World Series champion Astros host the Rangers, presented by Barbasol Razors. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app.
Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please? How many Jazz players can you name? Give the people the choices 0, 1, 2, 3. Is it just Gobert? Is it Gobert
Gobert, Mark Eaton,
Miles Davis?
Yep.
Miles Davis.
Thurl Bailey. A lot of them. Here's your Sports Center update. The Seahawks have postponed a workout session with Colin Kaepernick after the quarterback declined to say that he would stop kneeling during the national anthem.
Miles Davis is nominated.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Don Le Batard.
That's ridiculous. Idiot. I know it was a terrible Barkley impersonation.
Never heard it before. It was just
a Suey nominee.
Stugotz.
Really bad.
You guys want to try all your Barkleys?
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
That's pretty good. That's better. Anyone else want to get in on the bidding?
Ernie, Dan Le Batard is an idiot. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I don't want to go after that.
Yeah, Kitty. Let me say something, Kitty. That Dan Le Batard is an idiot.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome, Dan.
Tell your fat daddy I hate him.
Oh! Fat Chris making an appearance. Fat Chris once again a surprise.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We asked earlier this week if the Jazz have ever had a showboat player, and many people wrote in with Pete Marinovich, Pistol Pete, the showiest player in the history of the sport, or one of them.
His name was Maravich. That's
what I call him, Marinovich. I called him Sean Marinovich.
Yeah, that was Todd Marinovich.
Okay, my bad. My Pistol Pete, like I like to call him.
Who's the boy?
So who is the second most showboaty Jazz player? Like if Pistol Pete is in the history of the sport and the history of that team, and the reason I bring it up is because that team's not interesting. It's never been interesting. It was at its most interesting with Stockton and Malone, and they were boring.
I think it's uninteresting by design, though.
Malone wasn't actually boring. He was interesting, but by virtue of Stockton's boring, he got boring.
Is Ricky Rubio the second most exciting player in Jazz history in terms of flashiness?
Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, yeah, he is wearing T-shirts that define rookie very specifically. I love that his whole argument on Ben Simmons is I'm more of a rookie than you are. Not I'm better than you. I'm an actual rookie, you're not.
That wasn't the question asked, though. The question asked was...
How about AK-47?
Oh, great nickname. One of the best nicknames of all time.
In sports, Andrei Kirilenko, number 47, was an actual Russian weapon by nickname and also had a really unique relationship with his pop star wife.
Hold on, and here's another thing. And I know I trampled over what you just said there, but this is even cooler. Did you know that Andrei Kirilenko is from the town where the AK-47 was invented?
Is that cooler, Guillermo, that Kirilenko, what's cooler? That his pop star wife gave him a free pass once a year to have sex with whomever he wanted, or that his hometown made a gun?
Well, she didn't. But
What do you mean she didn't?
She didn't. That was a quote that was taken out of context. What she was saying was the guy's on the road and I can't track him all the time, and so I've kind of accepted that it might happen and I can't go crazy about it if it happens once here or there. But people took that as I've given him a pass to go have sex behind my back.
I thought she was quoted, or he was quoted, that they gave each other a pass one time a year. I mean, I'll check on it, but I remember that being the story.
It was a very poorly context-driven story.
So I want to have the conversation. I want to have the conversation that we were having before this segment started. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about here and what I'm not. But Stugotz, during the break, came forth very strongly during the break and said, Dan, Mike Greenberg has said on Get Up that he has 3 letters for LeBron James. And those letters are MVP. Now, I probably don't need to tell you that Stugotz had a bunch of different letters that he was using, none of which we can air. Not even if we were to say that he was exhibiting the behavior of an A.S. There is no way to call anybody names here, but Mike Greenberg has said that LeBron James is the MVP. And why are we doing this again?
I don't know.
Oh, because it's ballot season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Amin. That's Amin just wanting to tell us all that he has ballots for all the awards.
I just, caretakers of the sport are entrusted with this. I take this very seriously. I will not be selling it to a website that traffics in, hey, did you hear what so-and-so said?
What are you allowed to vote on?
MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year.
You got all the votes.
Defensive Player of the Year.
You've got all the votes?
All the votes.
I thought most people got only one of the votes. You got all of them?
100 voters who vote on everything. The only thing we don't vote on is Executive of the Year because the executives vote on that.
Who are your fellow voters who are deciding this?
The caretakers of the sport, Dan.
I know, but why did you get to be one of the caretakers?
You're a caretaker
I'm asking
of the sports?
You know what my questions are. Now, I've got a million questions about how the hell you became a caretaker.
Dan, I'm one of the foremost voices when it comes to basketball coverage.
That's it?
I'm an expert.
So when did they come to you with all of these things, all of these abilities to vote on all of these things?
Well, they send you an email. The way it works is there's an independent accounting firm that sends you the email. Well, first of all, the league asks, do you want to do this? And you say yes. And then they send you an email from the accounting firm, and then it's just basically drop-down menus for everything. So, for instance, the first thing that pops up, actually, the first thing you vote for is MVP. And they have 5 drop-down menus, and you've got to rank your top 5 like that.
Do you want to give us your rankings? Can we do this now? Are you allowed to reveal it publicly? Get the fanfare.
Is this like the Heisman thing?
Get the production fanfare.
No, because the reason why Greeny did that today was because Beadle and Jalen Rose, who are both voters, revealed their votes.
Wait a minute. Did they just give everybody at ESPN votes? Is that all they're doing?
The caretakers of the sport.
Find out all of Amin's picks next.
Nothing in life is free. Time for some ads.
And I mean, clearly not everybody. Did you get it?
Nope.
I didn't.
Nope.
Beadle is one of the gatekeepers of the NBA?
Caretakers.
Oh, caretakers.
Yeah, that's what I think of. When I think of Get Up, I think of caretakers for the NBA, don't you?
Well, she also has this little program called NBA Countdown.
Yeah.
Hosts the sports coverage on this network.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not just Get Up, because Greeny doesn't have a vote.
I'm dismissing all of you as voters. This is not a personal attack on Michelle Beadle. It's the idea of gatekeepers, carers, caretakers. You mock the idea of caretakers. This is the one place where you take it seriously?
Yeah, because I'm a caretaker now.
Caretaker of the cathedral?
Now I'm a caretaker. Before I wasn't.
But what makes, honestly, what makes you more qualified to decide who the Rookie of the Year is than me?
Than you?
Yes.
Well, he watches the games for one.
Well, there is that. Well, here we go. And here is it.
Check out a box score. Look at a stat line.
But, Mike, here's my goal, and we will get to the Black Tux in a second. But I want our stated goal to be at the end of all of this, whatever this is, there's a mountain of rubble and Stugotz is planting a flag at the top of it. And it's on Beetle and Amin and the caretakers' bodies. At the end of it, it's Stugotz PN. That's what we're going for around here.
Don Le Batard.
Fake Marty Smith, you're on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz.
Hey, Benno! It's Marty Party! What are you guys doing? Hey, Stu!
Hey, Marty!
Yeah. Hey, guys, hey! I just parachuted out of a plane, man, and in Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa just got down here. I'm with Nick Saban, man!
Yeah,
we're about to go bass fishing on some jet skis!
Yeah, that's great.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Tim Kurkjian going to be there in a half hour, 11 a.m. Eastern. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tomorrow as the Spurs face the Warriors at 2:30 Eastern, and on Sunday as the Pacers take on the Cavaliers at 3 Eastern. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Seahawks postponed a workout session with Colin Kaepernick after the quarterback declined to say that he would stop kneeling during the national anthem. The Hornets have fired Steve Clifford after a 36-46 season. And finally, several 911 callers reported spotting a tiger in Manhattan. The animal that police safely caught turned out to be a large raccoon.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are the raccoons so large in New York that you replace them you mistake them with tigers?
Yes.
Why did you say it the way Howard Schnellenberger would?
Mispronounced it.
Yeah.
What? Why did I call Pistol Pete Marinovich? Like, I just made a mistake. I'm getting names wrong. I'm getting old. I'm wearing glasses. I can't see things.
Called a raccoon.
A raccoon.
I had a sentence too. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Amin Elhassan in with us. I want to get to this Reuben Foster story in a second, but before we do that, it's very serious social commentary. I would like to get Amin's thoughts on Steve Clifford being fired. You know, I feel like these people are largely interchangeable. Steve Clifford, by everyone I've ever talked to, says Steve Clifford is exceptional as a coach. And it doesn't matter because Michael Jordan keeps building his teams, and go ahead and try and win with Nicholas Batum deep into the playoffs as a, max player that is at the top of your roster. That's not going to go well.
Well, he hired Mitch Kupchak to be his new general manager. You know what that means. Kupchak wants to bring in his own guy because that always works.
That is what it means. It is what it means. As soon as Kupchak comes in, Clifford's like, man, I almost died coaching this team. Okay, I'm leaving. It's Kupchak's time. All that stress I endured, the whole thing that made me almost die, Kupchak can go ahead and give that to somebody else and see if someone else can make magic out of this Charlotte roster.
And yet, in a weird way, they've probably done Steve Clifford a huge, huge favor because now he can go out and get another job with a team that's not run by Michael Jordan. That's an upgrade.
Right. There's plenty available.
Yeah. They're
Well, does he have the reputation? I know that people think of him as a great coach, period. I think that some people make these appraisals of, he's a good assistant coach. He's not a good head coach. And I think Steve Clifford could win with the kinds of players in this league that win. I don't think Steve Clifford is any kind of detriment, but what do you make of Charlotte firing him? And furthermore, Michael Jordan's career since he was the symbol for excellence across sports.
Right. Well, I think the second part of that question is way more interesting to talk about than, where's Steve Clifford going to end up?
Whose voice is that? Who was that?
That's sports radio guy that
I felt like it was Mike Greenberg saying 3 letters MVP. I feel like that's what it was. It felt like Greenberg.
That guy's synonymous with sports radio guy. I mean, that's a pretty big compliment, right? Right? Thanks. No, the idea that the guy who was synonymous with success and excellence is now known for 2 things. One, being a terrible exec, or being not so great at being an exec, and 2, being the symbol of every time someone loses, we use his crying face as a mascot for your failure.
That is the shining symbol for how America cannot be trusted to take care of its heroes late in life. Like, that is he has become the symbol for losing, even though he used to be the symbol for winning. Ladies and gentlemen, America. Like,
not because he lost, by the way.
No, not because he lost.
That teary face was from his Hall of Fame induction.
It doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense. He is the greatest symbol we have for winning. It's what we use to club LeBron James, except when we use him as the symbol for losing.
It's convenient. I love it.
We are not loyal to anyone.
No one. And we're only loyal to tearing you down. We are only loyal to laughing at your expense once we tear you down. What does your ballot look like? Who is the Rookie of the Year according to Amin Elhassan's formal ballot?
We have imaging ready?
Yes,
okay.
Always ready.
Wow.
I'll give you guys the whole ballot.
Okay, but give us the weakest stuff first.
Yes.
The weakest stuff first so we build up
in
to the
third
MVP.
place. This one is actually a surprise, I think, to many people. Kyle Kuzma of the Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of people went Tatum. I felt Tatum hit a wall, really slowed down, tapered. I thought Kuzma overcame his wall, had a great second part of the year, and really developed as a player. Number 2, oh man, this was hard. This is hard, and I hope there are enough people who are going the opposite of me.
This is big, though. This is big because once we know who number 2 is, we'll know who number 1 is.
Yeah.
So you got to get ready twice with the production.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm hoping there are enough people who voted the opposite of me so that they can be co-rookies of the year. That's my hope. But I'm sorry, Donovan Mitchell, you went number 2. Ben Simmons is the Rookie of the Year. I do not feel it is right as a caretaker of the league to make statements about the rules of who's eligible and who's not eligible. If we want to have a conversation of changing this rule for years to come, I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to use my ballot to voice that concern. I'll voice my concern to the powers that be.
Listen, only a caretaker of the NBA can figure out those are the top 3 rookies in the NBA this year. Oh, what a joke.
And I'm with you, Stugotz, and not only am I with you on this, I love the idea that Amin Elhassan, proclaimed rebel anarchist, said, did you hear the phrase that he just used? Use the phrase again. You will voice what? What did you, as a caretaker?
As a caretaker, I don't feel like it's right to use my ballot as my form of protest.
Right.
When the time comes, I will voice my opinion to the powers that be.
See, powers that be, voice my opinion. Who are you?
You know what? You grow up, Dan. Come to the real world. Come back, Peter Pan.
No, I think this is ego. I think that you are just being taken seriously as an analyst, and so you're taking your vote seriously, and now you think America cares whether you have Kuzma third on your ballot.
Look,
Rookie of the Year.
Dan,
I care. That was a good nugget, man.
Thank you.
People
all over the country are gathering around their radios, their transistor radios, holding them up because they want to know what the caretakers of basketball have to say about what happened.
I'm upset that Dan and Sue are slowing this down. I want all of
more.
them.
Right,
more of them. You want it like that too? You wanted bronze, silver, and gold?
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
Okay, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Was Amin's Rookie of the Year analysis amazing? Yes or no? Go ahead now. What is the other thing that you voted for? How many categories?
He voted for everything.
I know, but I don't know all the categories.
Can we go Depoy?
Depoy.
Oh, you're going to like
Depoy.
Who's the Depoy? Who's the defensive
I have a
player
homer
of the
pick
year?
for the Depoy.
Do you? You got a homer pick?
Yeah, if Josh Richardson doesn't make an all-NBA defensive team, I'm going to flip.
Okay, that's not going to be in the top 3.
Well, you don't want all defensive team. You're looking for
Depoy.
You want Depoy.
Okay, you don't want to see what happens if Josh Richardson doesn't make all-team.
All right, you don't want to see what happens.
No.
You don't want to see what happens.
I might as well put on my sunglasses then.
Let's go.
All right, so Depoy, again, 3 spots. Number 3, this guy's on-off is off the charts. Tremendous defensive player. Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers.
His plus-minus or on-off?
So the defense when he's on the floor versus the defense when he's not on the floor.
Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome.
I'm serious.
As a caretaker, that's my job, Stu.
All right, second, silver medalist, Depoy.
So this is a guy that when a huge injury befell his team, everyone thought it was going to fall apart, but he kept it together because he's awesome defensively, and he finds time to score 30-plus points per game while he's doing it. His name is Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Wow. Good on off?
Yeah.
Are you Gobert's going to be number 1, right?
Oh, well, way to ruin it, Dan.
Spoiler alert.
This isn't your favorite color.
Don Le Batard.
It is an honor to be here. Seeing Poppy in person, you're like a Cuban Yoda. You're wonderful. Really? And, yes, and also you have a normal-shaped head, which is nice to see, because it begs the question, though, what the heck happened to you, Dan Le Batard?
Thank you, Jim.
Stugotz.
America, his head starts off okay at the top, and then by the time it hits his ears, it expands out for some reason.
Yes, that's the calories usually. Yeah, that's
you have the world's only apple-bottom skull. As the kids say, it's THICC thick, my friend, so good on you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Amin Elhassan has his basketball information analysis here. He is better at this than I am. Stugotz says he is not better at this than he is. He is very good with his basketball analysis. He is very informed. He also has many objections with me in general, including how I say mba'amute.
Yeah, I don't. That really bothers me. Because I don't know if you're just terrible at saying it or if you're trying to be funny.
Oh, no, I'm not trying. It's the M. I don't have any other references for MB at the start of a word. So I do it like mbop. Like that, what was that song? It was
by Hanson.
That's a fine. Yeah.
No, it's not a fine. That's not a
Is that
fine.
a fine for me?
No, it's a fine for Dan.
How is that a fine?
You said M-bop. Yeah.
Guillermo, fine or no?
Yeah, it's a fine. You called it M-bop. That's a different song.
Thank you.
M-bop.
Would totally change this song.
If something tastes good, you don't say M. You say
M-bop.
Not M.
Listen, did you guys know what I meant? Yes or no? Because if you knew
but I
enough
knew
to
that you were
correct me,
butchering
it's
it.
fine.
Well, I knew what you meant when you said Pete Marinovich, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you were right.
Correct. Pistol Pete Marinovich.
Yeah.
What is the issue with mba'amute?
It's the jerkiness, or the herky.
How am I supposed to say it?
Mba'amute.
Ba'amute.
Ba'amute.
It really rolls off the tongue.
Mba'amute.
Oh, I didn't know the M was silent.
I mean,
though.
well, it's not quite. I mean, it's there, but it's very soft. It's not.
It's more like a. It's not a. It's a.
Yeah. There you go. Do it again, then.
It's a duck fart?
It's like you're trying to say B, but you're tired. Yeah. B.
Do you think that's an important loss for the Rockets? Because you have been singing the praises of Mba'amute for many years.
You know, you had this whole speech about how role players aren't important. You think everything in the NBA just comes down to stars.
It does.
No, well, first of all, yes. But second,
that's why you guys don't get to vote.
Stars and
that
starters.
Right there.
Wait, hold on. No,
stars
Shane
and starters.
Why he's not a caretaker?
Shane Battier, role player. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good role player. Okay? Mm-hmm. Champion when he plays with LeBron James.
Sure.
I mean, come on.
Sure. But this is like saying if I drive my car, as long as I have 600 horsepower, I don't need brakes. Right? No one really thinks about brakes. Brakes are kind of like the boring part. Like, brakes, okay.
I mean, all I'm saying is...
Bad brakes, who cares?
There are 1,000 of those guys. There's one
That's
LeBron
what I'm
James.
saying. No, but that's the point. If it wasn't Mba'amute, then it'd be Patrick Beverly.
No,
and if it wasn't Patrick Beverly, it'd be someone else.
No, because
they go get a defensive stopper
this
like
is like saying,
Cephalosha.
I drive a Mercedes-Benz, so if my brakes go out, I can go get BMW brakes, or I can go get Toyota brakes. Yes.
Really stop the brakes analogy. It's confusing everybody.
Is it? Are you confused by this?
This is not caretaking.
But
this doesn't feel like Mike, am I wrong? Does this feel like caretaking to you? This feels like ego. It feels like ego.
Ego.
I'm right about Mba'amute is what he's saying.
You gotta stop saying his name.
Yeah.
So like Jordan had Horace Grant brake pads for a while, and then those brake pads they got old and they were worn, and then he exchanged those brake pads for Dennis Rodman brake pads, and he still did the same thing, won 3 straight championships. Because of Jordan, not because of Rodman, not because of Horace Grant, Steve Kerr, B.J. Armstrong, or anyone else.
Jordan. What I'm telling you is there are a zillion other like-minded brake pads that he could have gotten that would not have worked.
Okay, so give me all the brake. All right, give me all the brake pads that work.
With the brake pads.
Give me the brake pads that work as well as the Mba'amute brake pads.
PJ Tucker.
So they've got one. They've got 3 of them. They've got 3 Mba'amutes. 2 of them are injured. Patrick Beverly, Mba'amute.
Now Beverly's on the Clippers.
He's on the Clippers. That's a fine.
They had him last year. That's right. You guys corrected me on that yesterday too. But my point was that if it wasn't Mba'amute, it would have been, what was the joke I stepped on there? What could you have gone with? If it wasn't Mba'amute, it would have been Patrick Beverly.
It wouldn't, because Patrick Beverly's 6'2" and Mba'amute's 6'8".
Okay, so
that's a big difference.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
It's not just give me any role players. They have to actually fit the roles you're looking for. And it's not just, hey, do you play defense?
We're attacking Amin.
I know.
Yeah, but I just feel like Mute. Look, man, Luol Deng was that guy for many years. It's not saying he's not important. It's saying Luol Deng never won anything because he didn't play with any people a lot better than Luol Deng. Like if he had played with people a lot better than Luol Deng would be out here. If he'd been Dennis Rodman, Luol Deng would be somehow out here with many championships.
We love you. You know that? I could tell you where you lost me, where you're one of the caretakers of the NBA. Like that's why I'm lashing out at you. I'm telling you right now.
You're projecting your Wilbon anger on me right now.
Yes.
But you're the mainstream guy right now. You are the mainstream guy. I deserve to caretake. Stugotz does not.
I'm not a mainstream guy because mainstream means a lot of people, and I'm part of a select few, 100 voters.
Pump the brakes, man.
Brake pad analogies. Why are we allowing an accounting firm to reach out to Amin Elhassan secretly to get the votes on his top 3 Coach of the Year candidate? Why are we doing that?
And now some words from our sponsor. Flap, pustule, jowls, nugget, gurgle, smear, curd, bulbous, tender, dongle, pork, moist. Whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or frankly a radio host, if you hear certain words on the job site, work can be uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro work shirts, pants, and boots. Head to toe. Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Every week during the baseball season, ESPN's premier baseball insider joins Dan and Stugotz to drop some hardball knowledge and take your calls.
Honey got me swishing like a dreadlock. She don't wrestle, but I got her in a headlock. Yabba dabba doo, make her bedrock.
Yeah! Here is Dan Batard, Stugotz, and Tim Kurkjian on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show like Tim Kurkjian appear via the show. Pennzoil Performance Live. And now, your Sports Center update. This is my jam right here. Stanley Cup playoff. Lightning beat the Devils. Damn, I love the Devils. 5-2. Bruins defeated the Maple Leafs. 5-1. Blue Jackets came back to beat the Caps. 4-3. Predators won against the Avs. 5-2.
Okay.
And the Sharks shut out the Ducks. 3-zip.
Okay. Thank you.
Game 2's tonight.
Death metal hockey.
Hey, not done.
I'm sorry.
Flyers at Pens. Pens won that one by a touchdown last in. Wild at the Jets. And Kings Golden Knights. And finally, Fleetwood Mac.
Really?
Big fan of Fleetwood Mac.
I did not have death metal hockey guys.
Oh, yeah. Love Fleetwood Mac.
Really?
Especially my favorite. Lindsey Buckingham.
Really?
Love Lindsey Buckingham. Yeah. Really upset about this one.
Okay.
They fired Buckingham.
No.
Yeah, they fired him.
No.
Yeah. Over disagreement over the upcoming tour. However, he has been replaced by Mike Campbell.
Ooh. Mike Campbell.
Of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Nice.
That dude's pretty rad. For all the latest headlines and information, I'm spinning all over Roy.
Yes,
Tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio. I'll do what the do.
Death metal hockey guys analysis comes with some spittle, Roy. We're sorry about that.
It's a hoodie up.
I would like him to do all the hockey updates on the show, even though it takes your spirit, your soul, your energy, and your voice. If you want to talk to Tim Kurkjian, now is the time to do it. Baseball is upon us. Baseball has been upon us for about 3 weeks now.
Yes.
I don't know why I said that. Tim Kurkjian returns into our lives right now.
It's upon us.
Yeah. Paul, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Tom. Nice to have you back. What is the weirdest player superstition you have heard of or seen for yourself? Thanks.
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Well, there are a lot of them. Ryan Zimmerman of the Nationals would shower at the same shower nozzle every time he was going well. So he would wait if someone else was showering there until it was his turn. But everyone knew that's his shower nozzle, and he's allowed to shower there because he's really going well. And Adam Dunn came to him once in the middle of Zimmerman's 30-game hitting streak and said, man, give me some of that water. I got to get some hits here. So they called it the hit shower. That's one of about 1,000 of them that I know.
Tim, is Ohtani the biggest star in the sport already?
Well, he's certainly the most fascinating guy in the sport. Again, only Babe Ruth has even attempted to do what this guy is doing at the moment. And his slugging percentage, and this is really inside baseball, is over 600 points higher as a hitter than it is the slugging percentage against him when he's a pitcher. So we're not even sure what he's doing better right now, hitting or pitching. It's just remarkable on both ends.
Do you believe, is this something that you believe, that Doug Gottlieb looks like Mike Greenberg if Greeny had a peanut allergy and was actively eating peanuts? Yes? Okay, good. Christian, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Tom, I recently had to wait 3 hours at the local DMV. Do you have any tips on making this a more pleasant experience?
Good question.
Excellent.
There is nothing more unpleasant than a day at the DMV. I don't think anyone could argue with that. You have to take that ticket, and then you sit and you wait. And the last time I went, I didn't get a ticket, so I sat and I waited, and then the guy told me, you got to go get a ticket, man. So it was really, I really hate going to the DMV.
Understood, but that shows no perspective whatsoever. There are many things in the world.
I don't have an answer to it. You have to sit there and be patient because what else are you going to do?
That's right. Austin, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Austin.
Hey, Tim, big fan. I want to know, how great does Alex Rodriguez smell?
I want to know, too.
Yes, please.
I want to know, too.
Well, frankly, I haven't gotten close enough to him since he joined our team because he does the Sunday night games. And
all right, report back to us. It's fine that you don't have an answer, but please report back to us. Do some real journalism for once in your life, okay?
Okay.
That sounded like the Hakeem Nicks laugh.
Yes.
Does Jim Leland look like he thinks left-handed people just haven't learned to use their right hand yet? That's more Jim Leland in attitude than it is in look. Jordan, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hi, Tim. Thanks. I coach 11 and 12-year-old baseball. The last couple of years, I've had them watch a game to try to get them to appreciate the game and then use it as a teaching skill. What game, any game from all time, would you use to basically help these kids value the game and then learn something from it?
Wow. So it's going to be a game with stakes, and it's probably going to – what kind of game is that going to be? I'm interested in your answer here.
Well, it could be any game, I believe, as long as it's properly played and pitchers are throwing the ball over the plate and hitters are actually trying to swing the bat. I think we've got a generation of young kids now who think, hey, let's take a few pitches, let's draw a walk here, when that's not what they should be doing in my mind. At age 7, they should be learning how to swing the bat, and pitchers should be learning to throw it over the plate. But with anybody, the number one rule on trying to appreciate baseball is to understand the speed of the game, to understand the incomprehensible velocity that a pitcher throws with, and standing even with third base, the unfathomable speed that a ball travels when it whistles past your ear. That's all people really, truly need to know about the sport, is how quickly it moves, and they will appreciate it much more.
Does Ramona Shelburne look like the woman who gets shredded for her valuation of her organic dog food business on Shark Tank? Does Lionel Hollins look like the original lead singer of a Motown foursome who was replaced by a younger, better-looking version of himself? That's a good one. Yeah, like that is what Lionel Hollins had game back in the day. But he's gotten replaced by the new younger version. Mason, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Hey, Tim, do you think King Felix will ever resemble anything that he once did? Thanks.
I think King Felix's days are over as being a dominant pitcher, best pitcher in the game. I just don't think we're getting back there. He started so young. He's thrown so many pitches. And when you start that young, there are all sorts of studies that when you start that young, throw that many pitches when you're that young, it eventually catches up. He's still a way above average major league pitcher. I just don't think he'll ever be the brilliant King Felix that we saw from several years ago.
Timmy, should Derek Jeter be ashamed of himself?
No, he's trying.
What?
They have a long way to go.
Oh, be quiet, Tim. He's right. Kurkjian, you're wrong. Stugotz is right. Robert, you're on with Tim Kurkjian.
Hey, Tim, I got a couple of questions. Can the Mets keep this up the entire season? And Dan, do you think it's a good idea to bring Barry Melrose on for hockey talk during the playoffs? Thanks.
All right, the Mets are really good. They're 10-1. It's the greatest start in club history. If they keep that starting pitching together, obviously they're going to be a contender. They're a better offensive team than people think they are, and I think they are certainly a contender for a wild card, and maybe they'll give the Nationals a run in that division.
Pat, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Pat.
Hey, Tom, it's Mina. I'm wondering, I got a friend who's chronically late for meetings, so how can I get her to show up on time?
Well, if you know her really well, you just got to tell her, look, you can't be late. It's inconsiderate to everyone around you when you are late. I get in a lot of trouble about this, going to the airport when I'm nervous going to the airport. You got to be on time for a meeting, going to the airport, for doing your job. And I think you can look her right in the eye and say, look, you're being inconsiderate when you're doing that, so please get here on time.
Does Mike Leach look like the retired professional alligator wrestler who never misses an opportunity to tell you his alien abduction story? Eddie, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Eddie.
Hey, Tim, I want to know, which one do you think will be higher by the end of the year? Number of wins by the Marlins or home runs by former Marlin Giancarlo Stanton?
How many wins are the Marlins going to get to 65 wins?
They're going to win 60 games at least, and Stanton is not going to hit 60 home runs. So I'm going to say the Marlins eke over 60, and Stanton does not.
Does Marvin Lewis look like the Chuck E. Cheese manager apologizing profusely for why the pizzas are taking so long?
Yes, he does.
Does Kurkjian know what Rob Pelinka looks like? Do you know what Rob Pelinka looks like?
He's the general manager of the Lakers.
No,
right?
he's the guy in an alcohol commercial who never says a word the whole time and orders a drink from across the room by raising just two fingers. Wow, I mean, like that one. Kevin, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Hey, Tim Babute, how you doing? I was wondering, who would win the race, D. Gordon or a cheetah with a broken leg?
All right.
I'll hang up and wait.
Who wins a race, D. Gordon, Billy Hamilton, or a cheetah with a broken leg?
I want to hear this answer.
I'm going to say D. Gordon can beat a cheetah with a broken leg. Because D. Gordon can fly and he can dunk from any position. He told me he's the best basketball player in the major leagues. He can shoot the three with anyone. He slams with both hands and he can fly. So I say he can beat a cheetah with a broken leg.
Anthony, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, McKurchin. I'm just wondering, can you explain the Pirates' early success and how long can they keep it going?
The Pirates have a pretty good lineup. It's been a great lineup so far. That can't continue, but this thought that they are, the Rays and the Marlins who are completely rebuilding is just not correct. Now, I don't think they're going to the playoffs, but they're not going to win, say, 60 games this year. They're way better than that. And look at their lineup every day. It's not bad, even with losing Andrew McCutchen.
I can explain it. Baseball.
And by the way, Pete Maravich is the flashiest player of all time. I heard you guys earlier. When I was a kid, I watched him stand at the top of the key and throw a behind-the-back pass off the backboard, and he threw it with such force, it bounced back to him in the air at the top of the key, and then he did it with his left hand.
Wow.
20 years ago when I covered basketball, I'm talking when I covered basketball for like a month 20 years ago, Isaiah Thomas told me, we're still trying to do the stuff that guy did 30 years ago, and we can't do it. That's how far ahead of the game Pete Meredith
Tim,
was.
please calm down.
Seriously.
Like you saying in that rage, no,
I feel
you
threatened.
saying I'm talking is the cruelest, meanest thing anyone has ever said to me. I am disoriented.
I've never heard you like
I'm
this.
talking about a play from 50 years ago, Dan. Shut up.
You brought it up. I was just trying to add something to the show.
Calm down. Why are you always yelling at me? You're Richie Incognito. We are sorry. Can we all apologize, please, to
Sorry,
Tim Kurkjian?
Tim.
All of
Sorry.
us. Tim, we're so sorry. Terry, sorry, Tim.
I love you, and I'm sorry, Tim.
Sorry, you were talking. I'm talking.
But Jeter should be ashamed of himself, Tim.
I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. Really, I shouldn't have done that.
Does J.J. Redick look like the overconfident waiter who attempts to memorize your entire table's order but comes back 5 minutes later because he forgot what you want on your loaded baked potato?
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
Is there anyone, Serge, who refers to you by your full name?
No, I don't think so.
Can you tell the audience what your full name is?
Ibaka, Ngubila, Serge, and Jonas.
Stugotz.
Isn't your full name 10 words? Serjabulo, Lamu, Sayom?
No, that's not true. That's not my name.
Okay. I'm sorry I made that so awkward for you. Hell of a day we're finishing.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So something going on right now with Reuben Foster. You may not know this name, but now he becomes a symbol for something. This is a person who plays for the 49ers, and he has got some problems on his hands because it appears that he beat the holy hell out of his girlfriend and broke her eardrum. And I find interesting, and I've always found interesting, that the NFL tries to sell itself as pure on image and now wants to sell itself as zero tolerance, the country's leader on domestic abuse, even though the justice system can't even handle it right because we fail all the time there with the justice system. But the NFL has proclaimed itself the moral authority on these matters. So I give you that information. I've got an arrest, but not a conviction. I got the 49ers putting out a statement. I got a broken eardrum. I got some details that are horrific. Does he get to keep his job for the 49ers while Kaepernick loses his?
Well, if he stays out of, first off, there's a chance he might go to jail for some of the stuff that he did. He's a really good young player. A lot of people thought he was the best player in that draft. A lot of teams passed on him. 49ers took him 31. He's talented, yes. I think if he's cleared of this, yes, I think he plays in the NFL.
No, but I'm talking about innocent until proven guilty, because if you're going to be a moral authority on this stuff, goodbye. If you're really interested in being a moral authority on this stuff, I don't even know if you wait till innocent till proven guilty, because one of the things that the NFL has found itself in is it's not waiting for innocent till proven guilty. And it says on Ray Rice and everyone else, no, we're not waiting for innocent. We are above the law. We're bigger than the law. We have our own rules. The law doesn't punish this enough. So what you got, NFL?
I mean, it's definitely a situation where they're going to be stuck in this kind of conundrum where they are.
Time now for my favorite color.
Okay.
Dan's favorite colors: orange, yellow, purple, pink, blue, magenta, green. Which color will he choose? 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 Today.
13 we're on.
What number are we on? Did I already give you?
We're on 12. which you unofficially gave us already.
What did I give you?
No.
Well, I thought I gave you Moccasin. Moccasin from memory is my 12th favorite, so I thought I gave you Moccasin already. Didn't I?
Is that official now?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I thought I gave it to you already yesterday. And 11 is Navy. 11 is Navy. No, but if you want to keep going, 11 is yes. Number 10 is mint cream. Number 10 is mint cream.
You stop it. You stop now. No. Incomplete.
Continue your thoughts. I mean, please, I'm sorry I interrupted you on Reuben Foster.
I want to know what color moccasin is, first of all. I mean, is it a brown?
It's a color. It's like it's a beigey light brown.
Like it's number 12, man.
Do you have, though? I mean, do you have any thoughts?
No, it's.
Do you have any thoughts on Reuben Foster?
Absolutely. It's exactly what you talked about. The idea that once you have set the precedent that we're not going to wait for the law to rule on this, that our sense of morality supersedes that of the laws of the land.
Oh, yes! Our favorite game besides Dan's favorite color.
I don't think that's fair what just happened to me, and it's not fair in any way, but we got to respect the we got to respect the Magic creative content and that music. Lamar Jackson's NFL future. It's not even a question. It doesn't have any punctuation. It's just talk about his future.
Well, it's a bright future, I can tell you that. See, here's the thing about Lamar Jackson. No one's taking him seriously because Bill Polian said that he's not good enough by quarterback. He's probably better off as a wide receiver. So no one's really taking him seriously. But then you had Chris Sims come on, and Chris Sims tells us he's the best quarterback in this draft. So here's what's going to happen. Lamar Jackson going to land in a really good spot, mid to late first round, on a really good team. Wait for their quarterback to kind of play out his career or get traded. And then Lamar Jackson, I'm telling you right now, is going to turn into a Hall of Famer at quarterback.
Let's hear your point. I mean, I don't want to do Lamar Jackson talk.
No.
I already did it.
Did you hear about one of the mock drafts?
I did, but let's hear your point. I mean, so that we could get to our other jokes, please. What is your point?
No, that the morality of the
time league. Now for Rick Springfield's 17th favorite color.
Yes!
Big.
Springfield's favorite colors: orange, yellow, purple, pink, blue, magenta, green. Which color will he choose? 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 Today.
He is on the line. Should I make him wait till next segment? Rick Springfield's
favorite. Cannot be.
You don't do that to Rick. Get out of here, man.
Rick Springfield's favorite color is next.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
He can wait. He can wait. He's right there. He can wait.
I don't feel good about it.
He's a very busy man.
I know, but let's build up suspense. Rick will help us out.
Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, sorry, Rick. We'll get to you in a second.
Don Le Batard.
All my wife does is she watches Game Show Network. When I'm not home, she only watches Game Show Network. And quietly, I don't like this. It's the unsexiest thing she does. I should probably have a conversation with her.
Stugotz.
She already started, huh? Like Abby, it started like a year or two ago, man. I feel bad for you.
Does a chill go down your spine whenever you turn on the TV and the most recent channel is Game Show Network?
Hold on, that's unsexy? The enjoying of game shows is
just
not
when your
sexy?
life is resorted to that, the Game Show Network. Yeah, and no, I don't get mad. I'm the one who left it there.
How are you guys?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance! Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. The NBA playoffs, yuck, are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tomorrow as the Spurs face the Warriors at 2:30 Eastern. And on Sunday, the Pacers take on the Cavs. Ill. Yucky. At 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yucky. That's not very death metal. Yucky, ew.
I know. Your Sports Center update.
Yes. Death metal hockey guy. Update the only sport that matters.
Only one that matters. Stars coach Ken Hitchcock has announced his retirement. Happy trails.
Whoa! I did not realize that
Guy's
you
a
wanted
legend.
champion Ken Hitchcock out of the ice.
Can you believe he was still around? He's coached every team.
Gamma, put on the poll. Did you know that Ken Hitchcock was still working the NHL?
Drew Doughty was suspended for tonight's Kings Golden Knights game for a hit to the head, which absolutely should be legal.
Yes, you're correct.
To Nazem Kadri will have a disciplinary hearing today for his major that led to a game misconduct last night. And finally, Lil Uzi Vert.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Really?
Is currently working on a new album and calls it the best music you've ever heard in his or your life. Has this clown ever heard of Slayer? Has he ever heard Walk by Pantera? For all the latest headlines and information, this page is soaking wet.
I know, because you spit all over it.
And so is Roy.
Tune into Sports Center.
The side of Roy's face is also wet from death metal hockey analysis.
On ESPN Radio,
Thank you.
I'll do what to do.
I'm still reeling from Tim Kurkjian lashing out and saying I'm talking. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Stugotz thinks that Tim Kurkjian is legitimately mad at us.
So does Amin. No, mad at me.
And I'm mad at Stugotz.
Yeah, just mad at me. I think he is, because someone asked him about the Pirates, and Tim gave a nice answer, and I said, Tim, I can explain it. It's baseball, which kind of, that's what it is. That's the answer right there. It's just baseball, and funny stuff happens. And he was silent afterwards, and then came back with a Pistol Pete take out of nowhere. Hey, he's mad at me, and I don't want to upset Kurkjian. That's the one guy at this company that I don't want to upset. Period. End of discussion. But maybe the only guy. Outside of our bosses.
This is what happens when you shake.
Time now for the epic sound of the day.
Whoa.
I'm waiting for you to...
Time now for Guillermo's epic sound of the day. It is going to be epic.
Get in there and say something instead. Like, I'm still waiting for the thought penalty box for Amin Elhassan.
What?
Get him out of here.
Because I took a pregnant pause?
2 minutes in the box.
See ya.
This is ridiculous.
Sound of the day is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today.
It's not a short flight.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Billy.
Hello.
Hey, Amin.
Hello.
You guys familiar with Mike Leach?
Yep. One of our favorites.
Well, for those who aren't, he's the coach of Washington State, and his press conferences and interviews and media availabilities are more interesting when things kind of get away from football. So here's another one of those occurrences, courtesy of @TheoLawson _SR.
What's the weirdest animal you've seen on one of your walks? You said you see animals when it gets snowy.
Tracked a raccoon one time in the snow. Because, I was in a neighborhood, and I was just curious where this raccoon lived, And, there's fresh raccoon tracks, and he'd been digging in somebody's garbage. So I followed the tracks, and I don't even know if these people know it, but he lives right in the back of their house in a bunch of brush and trees, Because, you can follow right, approximately where he's at.
Consider yourself a pretty good tracker then, huh?
It was residential enough. I was curious where this sucker lived, and so I walked about half a mile out of my way to sort that out. It was a fairly residential area. I was just curious where a raccoon would live. So,
I love the idea of a wife saying to her husband, "There's a raccoon out there. Go handle the problem." And you go out there, and there's Mike Leach.
In case you were wondering, Dan, we also have sounds of other animals he's seen in his neighborhood.
Huge owl, which I see the hawks, foxes, coyotes. I saw a coyote in my neighbor's front yard. A quail. Now in snow, if you walk up on the quail and they're under that snow, they'll lift up right in front of you and it scares the hell out of you. Walked up on a herd of deer in one of the pastures one time. Seen pheasants, but not a lot. I'm trying to think what else. Rabbits, yeah, a lot of rabbits.
Mike Leach is a lot of fun and is also the rare combination of fun and incredibly long-winded. Yeah. And so he just keeps yammering. And the idea that this guy is the face and voice. You understand now why the University of Miami didn't want to even interview him when their job became open, right? They wouldn't. Yep. Jimmy Johnson, Mike Leach was going to visit Jimmy Johnson, the Keys. Jimmy Johnson was endorsing Mike Leach, and the University of Miami is like, we don't even want an interview. We don't want to talk to him because we're going to ask him a question, and that's going to be the answer.
The interview would still be going on.
What are your top three, Amin? Your top three Coach of the Year candidates, because you are a gatekeeper and a caretaker for the NBA. You are one of the voters on these awards. 3, 2, 1, Coach of the Year.
It's Coy.
So 3 is up in the air. I haven't submitted this ballot yet, so I'm actually open to suggestions. 3 right now, I've got Nate McMillan on there. But I'm kind of also leading and changing it to Quinn Snyder. But Terry Stotts did a really good job this year. But also Alvin Gentry really did a great job, particularly under those circumstances.
Time now for Rick Springfield's favorite color.
Springfield's favorite colors: orange, yellow, purple, pink, blue, magenta, green. What color will he choose? 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 Today.
Allison told me Rick Springfield got bent out of shape because we kept him on hold so long. So now we got to call him back.
He's been on hold the whole time?
Yeah, we hung up on him. Yeah, he hung up on us rather. So go ahead and give us your Coach of the Year candidates. 3, 2, 1. We'll try to get Rick Springfield next segment.
All right. So we got out of the 3. But 2, strong 2. Brad Stevens, Boston Celtics. But the number 1, Coach of the Year. And I felt very strongly about this all year long.
Can you stop for a second? Just for a second. Stugotz, you're not a caretaker. You're not a gatekeeper. Can you guess what Amin's answer is? Because he protects his secrets and he uses all this information. Can you guess who his Coach of the Year is?
Mike D'Antoni.
Ooh, I would have guessed Dwayne Casey.
That brings up another point. I don't like the way you say it. It's D'Antoni. It's not D'Antoni. It's D'Antoni.
Is he the Coach of the Year?
He's not.
Wow.
Winner is Dwayne Casey of the Toronto Raptors.
Tony doesn't even get any of your votes. You mentioned like 7 coaches.
We've never had a back-to-back Coach of the Year in the history of the NBA.
But, I mean, James Harden is better than he's ever been, and the Houston Rockets are better
Mike D'Antoni is one of the best coaches in the NBA. So is Greg Popovich. They're not winning Coach of the Year. So is Steve Kerr. They're not winning it.
Oh, they got Rick Springfield on the line.
Oh, is he back?
Yeah. 80s heartthrob.
I can tell you who else is not winning it, the Raptors.
80s heartthrob. You know what? Let's just end there and put Rick Springfield back on hold.
Sorry, Rick.
Don Batard.
People who love this show tend to really, really love Stugotz.
Thank you.
Stugotz.
I mean, yeah, the love is unreasonable for a man of your despicable core.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We probably should have mentioned before now that Joel Embiid is out for Game 1. Brett Brown has told Dan Patrick that Joel Embiid will not play Game 1 of the playoffs against the Miami Heat.
So we were doing favorite colors, and DP was doing that?
Well, yeah, thank you for reminding me. Rick Springfield with us now on ESPN Radio. 80s heartthrob, Jesse's Girl. He's doing a 20-day contract of his 20 favorite colors. The 17th favorite color of Rick Springfield, General Hospital heartthrob, Jesse's Girl author, and general great person of pop culture is?
Puce. It's actually a color.
Wow.
Thank you, Rick. We'll talk to you on Monday. Puce?
Yeah.
Is he still there? I'd like to ask him a follow-up question about Puce. He hung up again?
Yep.
Did we find out if Tim Kurkjian's mad at us? Or mad at Stugotz?
That was pretty evident.
For real?
I mean, you know Tim. He's a ball of rage. Yeah.
And he said, I'm talking. Who is your 6th man of the year? What does your ballot for 6th man of the year look like? Amin Elhassan's, because he's a caretaker. If you're just joining us, Amin Elhassan is a sentry who stands guard on the integrity of the NBA voting system, and he gives you his picks filled with analysis. And he gave you 7 coaches that weren't Mike D'Antoni, Stugotz. That's why he's a gatekeeper.
That's why he's a
That's
gatekeeper?
why he's a caretaker. The obvious one that you went with, he went with 7 others.
You guys keep using the word gatekeeper. Gatekeeper, it sounds like you guys have a little inferiority complex going on here.
Yeah, it's a caretaker.
Caretaker.
All right.
I look after the game. I don't keep the game for these people.
No, but I feel like you keep the gate. You keep the integrity. You keep a gate locked around the integrity of the voting of the game.
Basketball's for everyone, but someone's got to take care of it, right? Just like roads and things like that. Everyone uses the highway, but someone's got to take care of the highway. That's who I am.
You're a government worker on behalf of basketball?
Well, not quite like an elite government worker, because remember, there's only 100 of us. It's an elite.
An elite. You're a government construction foreman.
It's kind of like the Roman Senate, right? You know, none of you guys get to vote, but we have your best interest of the republic.
You're the sign on the side of a highway, I mean.
Look, Stugotz, I can't help you. Maybe Tim can get you a baseball vote. I don't know.
All right. So the third best 6th man of the year. Good God. What a waste of everyone's time.
This was
not
my
on the radio,
favorite.
just of your life. The third best 6th man of the year.
My favorite thing.
Make him the 8th man of the year.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Excellent.
The 8th man of the year, according to Amin Elhassan, is
Toronto Raptors' Fred VanVleet.
Wow. Yeah. Congratulations to Fred.
The 7th. the
8th man.
8th man of the year award.
No, it's the 7th man of the year. Now we got to go to the 7th man of the year award. The 7th man of the year, according to Amin Elhassan, is
from the Houston Rockets, Eric Gordon.
Wow, he's not going to repeat, huh?
Yeah. No repeat for him. Oh. Next up, you know who the 6th man is.
Well, is it the 6th man or is it?
This is the 6th man. This guy's 6th man of the year. He should have been an all-star. That's how good of a 6th man he was.
I don't feel like we should push him off. Nobody cares.
We're not doing
like
anything.
6th man of the year.
I was more interested in the 8th man of the year award.
There you go. Crate speaks for itself.
All right,
Lou
Magic
Williams.
Crate of Content.
Did you rummage?
He did.
Yeah, rummage.
Yeah. Is it Lou? Is it Lou Williams?
It is Lou Williams.
I mean, geez, huh? You're be a caretaker. to make that
You're a
happen.
sign on the side of the highway. What would you do if you won Powerball?
You guys are litter on the side of the highway. What would I do if I won Powerball? Oh, this is easy. First of all, wouldn't tell anybody. I would go on and live my life as I do, but I would just be a little bit more affluent. Like, you just notice little things like, is that a new watch? I mean, like, oh, you know, it's just a gift. But secretly, I'd have like $500 million, and I just live my life and wouldn't tell anyone.
Anyone? Not even your wife?
Nobody. I
You don't tell your wife,
She'd
man.
get better gifts, and she's like, that was really thoughtful. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying.
Open up a separate account somewhere.
Of course.
Yeah. I'd spend all mine in a week.
Yeah, he's one. Don't lotto winners go broke at an alarming rate?
Yeah, on the ponies is what I'd spend it on. The ponies.
No, see, I put it in an account in the British Virgin Islands. I hear they got some good banks there.
You know what's more than $500 million? 10 to 1 at $500 million. Oh, ponies, Calder, Gulfstream.
You can sidle up to the betting window. I got this nag in the 4th race on a Thursday afternoon. Let's make it 500 mil.
Stu got to show up with the big cardboard check. Put it all on.
Here. I do believe what they're going to ask him. Does he want it all lump sum installment? All of it. Just this nag.
Put it on. She's a doozy.
Great name.
She's a doozy.
And now some words from our sponsor: flap, pustule, jowls, nugget, gurgle, smear, curd, bulbous, tender, dongle, pork, moist. Whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or frankly a radio host, if you hear certain words on the job site, work can be uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro work shirts, pants, and boots. Head to toe. Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
Don Le Batard.
Stugotz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugotz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen, I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
Stugotz. You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We the best! ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And now, another one of these SportsCenter updates. Joel Embiid will not play in Game 1 against the Miami Heat. I like that. Mike Wallace will have a chance to earn $585,000 if he weighs less than 250 pounds at Eagles camp. He currently weighs 200 pounds. Chef D, what's for breakfast? And finally, a fun trip to the beach took an odd turn for an 11-year-old boy in Southern California. Crazy story alert. The boy suffered what appeared to be a minor injury after scuffing his elbow on a rock and causing a blister. The blister kept getting worse and the boy got it checked out. The blister was actually a snail living under his skin. Ew. I told you, crazy story alert.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Looking great at your special event or wedding has never been easier than with the blacktux.com. They're loyal. They've got tons of new suits and tuxedos that'll make you stand out for the right reasons. To score $20 off on your purchase, visit blacktux.com/Dan. That's a major key. For all the latest headlines and information, turn into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Bless up.
Amin's got a problem with me. Amin Elhassan, our basketball gatekeeper and caretaker. He's got a problem with me because he thinks I reduce everything in basketball to just stars, stars. And I understand that there's a lot of, winning can be done in the margins, but in basketball, I don't believe it happens that much, that the winning isn't in the margins, that best of 7, the best get rewarded. And it's why stars don't get eliminated early. Like these teams with stars on them, the only thing that eliminates them is other stars.
I mean, you do agree, like these guys, like LeBron James, the stars, the best players in the game.
Right.
He'll win with Tristan Thompson. He'll win with Udonis Haslem. All those guys are interchangeable. No?
The point you guys are making is that there's only one LeBron James, whereas there are a lot more Tristan Thompsons. That is not a point I'm arguing. I'm arguing that A, fit matters, chemistry matters, and matchups matter, and also game planning matters, because if it was just roll the ball out, well, then the Miami Heat would have won 4 titles in 4 years instead of 2.
Well, let me ask you this.
Because it wasn't just roll the ball out.
Right.
They did get beat in the margins, even though they had superior talent, right?
Yes, they did. But you're telling me that same coaching is now going to beat the stars of the Sixers, and that same coaching failed to win 4 times in 4 years with the best talent.
And here's a funny thing. Coaching isn't stagnant. Eric Spoelstra is not the coach he was in 2011. Right? He has grown. He's gotten smarter. He's gotten better. He's improved as a coach, just like players improve. So I'm not saying that, well, if you lost this one, you'll never win it again.
No, but my point is that no matter how good a coach you are, if what you have is the Miami Heat going into the playoffs of basketball, which measures things very well, all you've got is a loser. I don't care whether it's Popovich or anybody else. All you got is a loser because you're going up. Now, Embiid changes things because all of a sudden one of their stars isn't right.
But
that changes things.
Of course, but loser is strong. You just have a team that's not making it to the NBA Finals.
No, but what I'm saying is you've got a first-round loser. Show me all the teams with no stars, and I'm going to show you a lot of first-round losers.
You have a limit. You have a limit to what realistic success you can have. That's true. But again, that doesn't mean the limit is right here at stage 1. That limit may be round 2 for the Heat. But they can beat the Sixers, and it's not it's not because of some fluke or 1 in a million shot. It's because of all the other things that they're making up in the margin.
I don't think they can beat the Sixers if Embiid is Embiid. Because they've got 2 players. Man, you're going to have a hard time.
The 2 best players on the floor.
Yes. Well, the history of basketball, you got the Pistons of Chauncey Billups. You're going to have a hard time coming up with the team that's got the 2 better players losing series. Like, that doesn't happen that often in that sport where you're looking at a court and you're like, those 2 players are the most talented and they wear the same uniform.
Let's talk. So
it did happen with Dallas and Dirk. It did happen with Dirk.
So it's not commonplace. Fine. I'm not arguing that it's a commonplace thing. I'm saying that when you're talking about an underdog, right? There are certain sets of circumstances that you need to happen for you to be able to be good enough to win. To this day, I sit here every day. You guys run that montage of, excuse me.
Wait a minute. You're not allowed to say that.
That gosh darn montage of me from 2016. And all of that stuff I said was right. The Warriors were better than the Cavs, but guess what?
All the stuff you said was right?
All the stuff I said, okay, except for the part.
Mike, get that montage, please, that he defends through curses that can't be said on Disney radio because he's still defensive about calling the Warriors the best team ever, and then they lost in the finals.
All of a sudden, the Magic Crate doesn't have anything. Rick Springfield doesn't have anything. None of this. No colors.
Rick Springfield's still holding. If you want to get his 16th favorite, he's still holding.
It's funny because everyone on the text is holding up the Thunder to us, saying they have 3 superstars. They're not going to go anywhere. That's only because Golden State has 4.
Okay,
you think they're going to lose to Golden State?
No, he's got them losing to Utah.
That's my point. Like, they got superstars. Where are they at?
I know, but they're
going to get past Utah.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on.
You want to put some she's a doozy on it?
Sure.
Well, what?
She's a doozy.
It's the horse we bet on.
I thought you said cheese a doozy. I didn't get it. That's my fault. I don't get the show. You know what? I'm going to the penalty box.
2 minutes.
Did you say cheese a doozy?
He's just hungry. That's all. He's just
2
hungry.
minutes in the box.
It is pizza day.
Yeah, it is. When's it getting here, by the way? Hungry.
You want to play the montage of Amin being wrong?
No, let's go back. I want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
No, this.
He can improve in the sense that he can adjust his focus in life as far as from being the best player to being a more complimentary player, a more facilitating player and all that. But in terms of being as great as he was the last couple of years, that's out the door.
Never again.
It's not happening. Comparing you with a team like the Spurs, a team like the Warriors, heck, even a team like the Thunder, they're not on that level. It gets worse from here. That's the other part that people don't get. He doesn't improve anymore. He gets worse every day. Yesterday he was better than he is today, and so on and so forth. Last year, he's probably thinking to himself, yeah, I didn't win MVP. They're trying to do the MVP redistribution program. Like, okay, let someone else have it. Like, everyone knows I'm still the best player on the planet. And then this year starts, and oh no, you're not. You're not. He's not the best player on the planet anymore. Right. Not even when he tries. He can try his hardest. He's still not as good as Steph Curry. Oh, crap. Not only am I not going to win the title this year, it's never happening again. He's not going to win a championship. This is the first time I can ever remember in the NBA Finals where I'm talking about why one team was going to win, and everything I said is right. They can't play that style.
Boy.
They can't keep up with them. They're not smart enough. They don't shoot well enough. Every single aspect of the Cavs, and I'm not saying they're not a good team. This is a championship caliber team in a world where the Golden State Warriors don't exist.
Where's Amin? He is so embarrassed. He is hiding under our console.
That was visually uproarious. Him disappearing beneath his eyebrows.
That's great.
I couldn't stop laughing, and Amin sinking deeper and deeper into, I believe, what he called totally being right. I was right about everything, is what he said in that curse word montage.
So Lamar Jackson.
Blacken my day next.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him, "Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash." His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
Dan Le Batard.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
Stugotz.
I mean,
no, he's an embarrassment, man. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami-only hour that airs before the show. And now you can subscribe to our Best of podcast. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app.
So Amin Elhassan is in with us as he is often during the basketball playoffs. We love having him around. We love having him around as a piñata, as a punching bag. You have become that for the network. You are like, is Amin the network's greatest troll, or is Stugotz the network? Who is the greatest troll at the network? Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Amin or Stugotz?
It's just the two of us.
What else? Who else is on the list? Who's the third place finisher in troll at ESPN?
This is like 1985 Lakers versus Celtics all the way. This is a hell of a finals we're going to get here.
Do we have a third place troll at ESPN? Is there such a thing? Regardless.
But it depends. I mean, see, it depends. I think the way me and Stugotz approach things is different from, for instance, some might call Stephen A. Smith a troll. Right? Some might call Will Kane a troll. But I don't know. I feel there's more sincerity coming out of those guys than definitely over here.
The NFL news. It never stops. The
Hold on a
Seahawks.
second.
What happened?
Forgive me for this. Please, I mean, don't curse in a way with your mouth, wording on television in a way that everyone can tell the word you just said.
I said shoot.
The NFL news. It never stops. Dan, the Seahawks have signed former Washington Redskin quarterback Stephen Morris. The Cowboys are expected to release wide receiver Dez Bryant. And finally, guys, farts smell worse when you need to make a poopy. How about that? Seriously, it's pretty clear now. Stephen Morris to the Seahawks. The writing is on the wall for Colin Kaepernick. It's just unbelievable. You have a guy who was a play away from winning a Super Bowl, another play away making it back to the Super Bowl. The Seahawks don't want him because he won't say what he's going to do with the national anthem, and therefore they sign a guy, Stephen Morris. What a joke. Pete Carroll should be ashamed of himself. Seriously, Stephen Morris. Please.
I thought the Dez Bryant story was the most interesting one in your update.
You did?
Well, I don't know what that third one was. Like that, the third story in your update. What? Please read that again. Yeah. It's the single dumbest thing said on this show.
And finally, farts smell worse when you need to make a poopy. They do. You never noticed that?
What I've noticed is that
you're approaching pooping, they smell a lot worse.
Listen to me. This is what I've noticed. What I've noticed is that when Death Metal Hockey Guy makes an appearance, all of a sudden the Sports Center flashes fall apart in the finals. Like that was not someone trying to write an "and finally." And finally, farts smell worse when you're trying to make a poopy. That was something that ESPN distributed as a news item that was sponsored in its Sports Center.
When you need to make a poopy, that's a fine. And what Mike did was a Sports Center update. What I did was an NFL update. Special. Yeah.
Oh, it's a totally different thing. You're right.
Totally different thing. Yes. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do Blacken My Day from what I believe to be ESPN's greatest troll.
Time for the segment that reminds Dan and Stugotz how out of touch they are. Here is Amin Elhassan with Blacken My Day.
All right. Well, you guys know that here on Blacken My Day, I like to educate and inform our melanin-deficient colleagues, friends, and listeners about the nuances of the black experience. Right? These fireside chats are designed to improve race relations through better understanding. But oftentimes, I get a lot of feedback from the hurt Rambuses of the world. Why you gotta make everything about race? Since the topics tend to be about the destructive effects of white people on the black experience. For example, white people thinking black people are the gateway to procuring narcotics. If you remember, we are the Atlanta Hartsfield of drugs for white people. So I thought I would do something a little different this time. Talk about a wholly self-contained issue afflicting the black community worldwide for generations through no fault of systemic racism or white privilege. I'm talking, of course, Roy, you know, the scourge known as ashiness. Yes. Now I know what you're thinking. Who among us hasn't experienced the vexation of dry, ashy skin? It's itchy, it's uncomfortable, and in extreme cases, it can feel leathery to the touch. But for most of you, this sensation is a rare occurrence that happens only in the wintertime, and it's relatively undetectable to the naked eye. I mean, think of all the lotion commercials with white people in them. They have to use all sorts of CGI and special effects like fish scales or glowing red sensations to hammer home the point. You're ashy, get some lotion. For my proud Nubian brothers and sisters, though, The war against ashiness is a battle fought daily.
Yes.
During all 4 seasons of the year. The word ashy itself is a literal descriptor, as the skin takes on a tone consistent with someone who's been in the vicinity of a volcanic eruption.
Yes, can ashy be one of my top 10 favorite colors?
Like,
yes, I don't know. I don't know if it's a color or not.
It is a color.
Sorry.
Like the fossilized remains of the citizens of Pompeii. It's like if you got in trouble at school and were sentenced to dust the chalkboard erasers. Or if Scarface sneezed on you. You get the picture. Right. Speaking of chalkboards, by the way, that's another symptom of ashiness. With the use of your fingernail, you can scribe all sorts of calligraphy on your ashy skin. As a result, we must remain constantly diligent throughout the day in our crusade against a foe that is never defeated, but merely temporarily abated. You let your guard down, you end up being ridiculed, often mercilessly, by others in the community. That's right, Dano. Ashiness is not for the faint of heart. Some particular areas of concern that, we have to worry about. The knuckles. Ashy knuckles have long been a go-to attack point. As for some people, they require constant care. My cousin Amir in Harlem, for instance, he has knuckles that have been described as looking like he just got done punching cinder blocks. Elbows. Ashy elbows are the silent assassins of ashiness. Mainly because they are often in plain sight to the public. Yes. But they elude the sightline of the owner of the elbows.
Yes,
I can't
it's
see
horrifying. It's horrifying.
So they're ashy. You
That's
guys know.
Everyone
I don't
knows
know.
except you. It's crazy.
The worst.
Everyone knows you're ashy except you, who has lotion everywhere except your elbow.
Exactly. Ankles. This is a malady that affects me personally, as my ankles tend to get ashy frequently. The ashiest ankles in recorded history, though, belong to this guy I went to college with named Harold, who one day, while playing pickup ball, had ankles so ashy we legitimately thought he was wearing white ankle socks. True story. We thought Harold was wearing socks.
Get out of here.
And then we realized, no, that's just the ashiness of his ankles.
Ashy.
So, final word on remedies. I once made the mistake of asking a white coworker for some lotion and being handed Jergens. That stuff sucks. It might work for other activities, but preventing ashiness is not one of them. Same goes for that Vaseline intensive care thing with the pump. They're all too liquidy. All at the same time, you can't use something too thick like petroleum jelly. First of all, it takes forever to apply, but also it'll have you looking shinier than the Silver Surfer. You're just reflecting everything. No, you need something with the right amount of viscosity that'll form a coagulant seal that keeps the ashiness out, but keeps the moisture in. I mean, something like Palmer's cocoa butter.
My man Amin, cocoa butter's a major key. Another one.
My name's Amin Elhassan, and this has been Black in My Day.
Don Le Batard.
So let me just get this straight. What you just gave us was limited fake John Lovitz as Will Smith's character in Bad Boys, Mike Lowry.
Yeah, that's a ticket. I'm Mike Lowry.
Stugotz.
Thank you. There it is.
Yes.
Mike Lowry. Thank you.
Glad we waited for it.
That was a lot better.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tomorrow as the Spurs face the Warriors at 2:30 Eastern. And on Sunday as the Pacers take on the Cavaliers at 3 p.m. Eastern. And now, your SportsCenter update. Joel Embiid, lots of eyes, will not play in Game 1 against the Miami Heat. Mike Wallace will have a chance to earn $585,000 if he weighs in at less than 250 pounds going into Eagles camp.
That's a funny note. It really is. Mike Wallace.
Has he ever weighed over 250 pounds?
No, I was like, it was Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace gained 50 pounds in the offseason.
He currently weighs 200 pounds, Dan. And finally, Empire Records, the cult 90s film about a failing record store, is being turned into a Broadway musical with a premiere date set in 2020. For all the latest headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Kind of lost steam there towards the end.
Yeah.
It's a tough impersonation.
It is, right.
And it's also very limited.
Yeah.
It's a dumb bit.
I mean, we were 3 for 3 until you went.
Wow.
I mean, do your job, Stugotz.
There we go.
Amin Elhassan in with us all show today. Our thanks to him for spending time with us. We're going to open up the club in a little bit. We're going to update the polls. Man, oh man, I honestly don't know anymore what the hell to do with this Kaepernick story, because white people are so tired of this story and have been tired of it for years. And every time news breaks, Adam Schefter reports the Seahawks are going to work him out. Never mind about the workout. He won't say flatly that he's going to stop kneeling.
And they signed Stephen Morris.
Never mind it as an issue, okay? Because Lord knows the American media has plowed that terrain. And furthermore, that thing that Mina and Bomani were pointing out, like anything race-related on Twitter or Facebook gets this hijacking from bots to make it even larger, seem larger than it is, because it's getting so much traction and being spread by so many people. But my question to you guys is, how in God's name can I discuss this Kaepernick story in a way that's new and fresh? Like, what is no matter how much news happens, what is the way to discuss this correctly where the audience isn't going to simply recoil on me? And I mean white audience, because black audience, generally speaking, is not tired of this subject. The people who are tired of this subject tend to look the same. And so what do I do? I don't
have a way.
Somebody help me out.
You're coming to the wrong guy if you're looking for me to come up with a unique way.
Okay, but what is the new way to discuss this?
There's nothing new, Dan. I mean, it is.
Dan, the story's the story.
The story is the story, and we can be right. We can be on the side of right and not provide any new angles on it.
But people are getting tired of at least that, okay? Never mind whether or not there's a side of right. And a lot of people say, plenty of people in our audience right now are like, you can't have whatever opinions he's got at work publicly. That's not a free space.
What's his opinion? His opinion is that black people shouldn't get shot by police officers?
You do not need my help making this argument. I'm trying to figure out, I don't care right now about who's right or wrong. I'm simply trying to figure out a way to talk about it in a way that's not going to make the audience put up its fists and turn off its radio.
Well, I think that the sad part of it is, the moment you say Kaepernick, no matter what angle you discover that's new and never been discussed before, the name Kaepernick turns those people's minds off.
Do you guys have an idea?
Dan, let me present this to you. I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but if Russell Wilson along the way here gets hurt, and the Seahawks, because they're desperate and they think they have a good team and they want to sign Colin Kaepernick, who they've already said no to, and they signed Stephen Morris. If you're Kaepernick and this stance means that much to you, and it does, it's clear that this means a lot to him, do you sign with the Seahawks?
Well, I think the question to ask on Kaepernick is, which is his preference right now? To play as a backup for the Seahawks, or to be a martyr who takes this into the court system and actually becomes a symbol for history? Like, which does he want? Which one of those two things? If he's got to choose between them, and the NFL's making him choose.
Well, no, Dan, if he wanted to be the Seahawks backup, he'd be the Seahawks backup. Clearly, the other is more important to him.
No, wait a minute. He will be the Seahawks backup if he turns publicly his back on his cause and promises to not.
That's why I'm saying the other cause is more important.
Okay, but wait a minute. He's not saying he won't kneel. The report is just they ask him, and he's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's not quite the same as saying I'm going to kneel.
Totally fair.
Now, Dan, devil's advocate, there's some who say that Colin Kaepernick knelt to bring attention to this topic. Mission accomplished. Doesn't need to kneel anymore, not because I've changed my mind, but because the attention has arrived and now we're on stage 2.
Okay. And now, Colin Kaepernick's got a tryout yesterday, and they ask him, are you going to kneel this season? And he refuses to say that he's not going to kneel. Right. That's the reporting from Adam Schefter. I ask you right now, if we get in front of Colin Kaepernick and make him choose, you got to choose one. You can't have both. The NFL is telling you in tryouts and everything and every way. You were unemployed last season. The NFL is telling you you can't have both, period. Choose. What's the choice?
Well, I mean, I think it's all about how we frame the choice. If we're framing the choice as you won't kneel because you realize kneeling was wrong, then he probably won't agree to that. But if the choice is you won't kneel because you accomplish what you set out to accomplish by kneeling in the first place, then I could see him going along with that. But it would have to be communicated as such, not as, hey, you're not going to do any of that kneeling anymore, are you? Once you do it like that, then it's clear that they're not just opposed to the kneeling, they're opposed to the cause. But if it's presented, I believe if it's presented to them as mission accomplished, dude, what you knelt for, we got this conversation going. Now it's time to move on to other methods of tackling this issue. And since kneeling is not required anymore, this could help you at work.
No, there isn't a new way you can tackle this.
Okay.
I tried.
So did I.
We failed.
I feel like Amin wasn't trying, though.
I really wanted to get to some of my other votes here. I mean,
what else do you have? What other votes?
Well, I don't want to inconvenience you, Dan. What else do you have? You hear that?
That's kind of rude. You're a guest.
Seriously.
Hey, Mina Kimes writes something. Everyone rolls over. Tell us more, Mina. I'm voting. Real life. What has Mina ever voted for?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know whether Mina's got any votes or not. Why are you attacking Mina? What
I don't
a
know.
weird thing to do.
Very upset.
I would attack Dominique, but then I realized he's been like the president of 7 different players associations. By the way, all of whom have signed terrible collective bargaining agreements. We never bring that up, right? We never bring that up. We trot out that Dominique Foxworth, Harvard graduate, president of several players associations, but we never talk about what actually happened.
All right, hold on a second. I'd like to talk about this.
Do you hear?
Does Mina strike you as someone that votes in every local election? Because I feel like she votes for comptroller and all that stuff.
Put her on the poll.
No.
Does Mina vote on every local election?
No
All right,
doubt.
take up. So Dominique Foxworth was the CFO for the NBA Players Union. He was the player rep for the NFL Players Union, and you are accusing him of signing nothing but bad contracts?
I mean, let me just say it was nice knowing you.
No. This is my predicament, Dominique. Everyone's leaving the room.
Bye.
For the radio listeners, everyone has literally left the room.
I don't want to watch this.
So, Dominique, this is my predicament. I come in here with my credentials, my bona fides, if you will. I am one of 100 voters worldwide who gets to choose who will be the MVP of the NBA, who will be Coach of the Year, and other such prestigious awards, right? All I get is grief and bashing from these two. And my response was, this never seems to happen when Mina Kimes is in here. This never seems to happen to Dominique. And I said, Mina, what has she ever voted for? And then I thought about Dominique, and I said, well, he has voted for things. But then it reminded me, you voted for things that were generally considered bad deals for the players in 2 different sports.
Okay. So, first of all, no, I'm not going to get him. We'll get to the bottom of this. This seems to be more about your insecurities than anything that I've accomplished. So, I feel no need to defend myself to one Amin Elhassan. A ton of respect for you. 100 people vote. You get to vote. That's a good thing. So maybe you should take up your issues with them. If you want to go into the complexity of negotiating multi-billion-dollar deals, I'm fine with that. But I'm not just going to stand here and let you try to step on me to get to the top so we can both rise. Let's both rise, put some lotion on our ashy ankles together, and rise up. I will stand by you and tell them that they should show you some more respect. But I certainly don't feel like I need to justify my intelligence or life's accomplishments to you or anybody else in this room or anybody else on this earth for that matter. Maybe a Martian. If a Martian comes down and says, hey, Dominique Foxworth, explain to me why you're a great... Nah, take it back. Bleep the Martians too. They ain't done nothing. What have they ever won? They don't have no votes.
Let's race right now, Ocean.
Dan Le Batard.
It's Friday. I'm getting into the weekend. I want to get my drink on.
Stugotz.
We've got to open up the club. Open it. Open it. Open it. Now. What is the computer buffering? There it is.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tomorrow as Kevin Durant and the defending champion Warriors host the Spurs. Who wrote this? It says Kevin Durant and the defending champion Warriors. Who wrote this?
Okay, that's $2.
Find out who wrote this.
That's $2 on you for blaming someone else for something that was written that you read.
No, I read it correctly.
You read it correctly, but you then blame someone else for the mistake.
Well, because factually it's incorrect. Kevin Durant didn't win a thing. So I'm going to read it again. The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio.
I got to go 2 minutes. That's me for not getting the joke.
Tune in
Wait, you
tomorrow.
didn't get it for real?
Tune in tomorrow.
You don't get the show.
As the defending champion Warriors, despite Kevin Durant, host the Spurs. It's presented by Barbasol Razors. Coverage begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. We close out the week every Friday by opening up the club, and the club is dressed up by thebblacktux.com. Looking great at your big event is easy with thebblacktux.com. To score $20 off your purchase, simple. Visit thebblacktux.com/Dan. 2 minutes in the penalty box. Amin, you want to finish your award show here?
Oh, I would.
Before we open up the club here?
Absolutely. What do we have left? We did everything?
We didn't do, did we do player, did we do MVP?
Six man, we did coach of the year, we did D-Boy.
We didn't do MVP.
The rookie of the year, we didn't do MVP. All right.
Yes. Amin is one of the 100 caretakers of the NBA, by the way, if you're just joining us, and he has a ballot for all these NBA awards votes, and he's been sharing them with us, unfortunately.
Well, and
sorry, love you.
I mean, at the fifth spot, he led the Portland Trailblazers to the 3 seed. His name is Damian Lillard. The fourth most valuable player in the league this year changed the way he played, which I give him a lot of credit for, and his team changed the way they played. His name is DeMar DeRozan.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Third place.
DeRozan?
Yeah. DeRozan, yes. I'm saying it here.
He is fourth on your MVP list?
Fourth on my MVP list.
Wow.
DeMar DeRozan was spectacular this year, but more importantly, he did it doing a completely different style. Third, we talked about him earlier. He was second in DPOY voting. He's amazing. He's Anthony Davis.
Open up the club.
Wait, I'm not done with my... Wait.
Open it up.
Open it.
Time to get into the weekend, baby. We got like 4 minutes left in the show. We got to go. Got to go. The club is how we start the weekend.
Pablo never gets cut off.
James Harden, right?
I mean, we all know who the hell well,
you don't know the order the top two are.
I bet you I do. First sound that's in the club, Mike Ryan. First sound that's in the club.
You guys run that montage of, excuse me.
Wait a minute. That's right. That is Amin Elhassan forgetting he's on Disney, just using curse words.
You guys run that montage of, excuse me.
Wait a minute. You're not allowed to say that.
But excuse me is really terrible.
Yeah, just terrible by you. Who else is in the club?
Hey, Lou, it's me, Aziz. Don't you think more sports should have sirens?
That is Aziz talking to Roberto Luongo, the Panthers goalie. Who else is in the club?
And those Cavs, not the ones from Cleveland.
So good.
Not the line I would have chosen from that particular DPOY song. Who else is in the club?
Your D is the only D I'll ever need.
That's the one I would have chosen. Who else is in the club?
Excuse me, gentlemen. Yeah, a Bloody Mary, tomato juice, lemon. Thank you. Double
Mean
vodka.
Gene Okerlund at like 10:30 in the morning ordering a drink while talking to us. Who else is in the club?
We're not going to talk tomorrow,
That's it.
but I will give you a buzz here in a couple of weeks.
Mean Gene
I love that man.
I told him I was going to talk to him the next day. He said, "No, you're not. Oh, in a couple of weeks you'll hear from me." Who else is in the club?
Jonathan Coachman did say hi.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. Who else in the club?
What's up, Lou? Huge fan, supported you all season. Never said anything about Reimer. Anywho.
That, of course, is the surfer hockey dude far away from the microphone talking to Panthers goalie Roberto Luongo. They were actually talking to him, by the way, all of these characters. Roberto Luongo was he was just holding the phone. He wasn't doing anything other than looking around being confused.
He hates us.
Who else is in the club?
Mango.
Oh, that, of course, is Rick Springfield's list of colors.
Purple.
Wait a minute. Purple, where's purple? Purple was 19. 19.
Like Barney.
Was Mango 18? Yeah? All right, very good. Who else in the club?
Oh, God, a home run on the first pitch of the game. Oh, my God.
That's the sound of Dan eating Guillermo.
That is Guillermo's chance to shine. He had a chance to really be a breakout media star, and I just trampled his home run call on the first pitch of the Marlins season.
Jonah and the Whale.
I mean, It was hard going down.
You played that for Ron McGill.
That is me swallowing Guillermo's entire body like a pelican and it getting stuck in my esophagus. Who else is in the club?
It's a mating call.
To leave a message for Lord Juta of York, please remain on the line.
What a swing and a miss that was.
I liked it.
Who else is in the club?
Hey, Roberto, it is me, death metal hockey guy, also a huge supporter of you. Yeah. Never said anything about Optimist Rhyme.
That's Optimist Rhymer. What do you mean, no?
You guys let him talk to Roberto Luongo.
Yeah, we let all the characters talk to Roberto Luongo.
Character specifically.
Yeah, death metal hockey guy. Who else in the club?
And happy birthday to him.
Yes.
I don't care. Good luck.
I was going to say, where's the rest of it?
Good luck. Good luck.
Thanks, Stephen A.
Good luck.
All right. Who else is in the club?
By tomorrow, Jeff Hornacek should be gone. Period. Period.
I mean, he not profit. He threatened the Knicks, and then the Knicks did what as told.
You go ahead and you keep Jeff Hornacek, or you get rid of him and you bring David Blatt.
All right. I mean, who's